Hey, hey, welcome back to the Chiron Intensive. I am Kiera.
And I am Zetha. The Chiron Intensive is a space where we dive deep into healing. Inspired by Chiron, the wounded healer, this podcast explores how our struggles can become our strength. It's about real talk, real growth, and creating community for young adults who deserve to thrive.
Doing the work is important, but there are going to be times when it just sucks.
Mistakenly, I used to think it was all gumdrops and rainbows. The truth is, there will be times when the work gets frustrating, saddening, or it simply has more twists and turns to it.
Absolutely, because you're not Poppy. Remember, girl? It's all some drops and rainbows. Today, we're diving into what happens when doing the work gets heavy. You know, that point where journaling doesn't fix it, and you're just tired of unpacking stuff. That's where we're going today.
Alrighty, so icebreaker round. What's something you've done recently that felt like self-care but really wasn't?
Oh, I cheated and I got myself a I have been getting myself this drink and I have to stop because it is literally making me it's hurting my wallet. So it is a large Starbucks drink with espresso, um what is it, oat milk, and it has like cookie crumble and foam. And it just literally tastes like a milkshake. And it's so good and comforting. But it is literally without any stars because I normally have stars, which tells you that I go there way too much. Um, I usually use my stars, but it's $10 without any stars. And that's ridiculous.
Oh, that'll add up.
And that's not really self care because it's hurting my wallet.
And you're gonna feel it when you need the money for later.
I know. What about you?
Oh my goodness. So for me, I have been trying to work on going to sleep sooner or later, right? And but there'll be times where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need my day back. Like I need my day back. So I been thinking, okay, when I get home, I'm just gonna lay down and I'm gonna rest. I deserve to rest, right? But then I go on my phone and then thinking like, yeah, like I'm giving myself a break. I can't even go on my phone at work like that. Like, so then I'm on my phone and I'm like doom scrolling or doom scrolling. And then I'm thinking, yeah, it's relaxation, but it's like, no, that's kind of still, it felt like it at first, but then I was starting to see that I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm thinking I'm learning stuff, like because it's educational stuff. Like I was watching Mount Everest documentaries, and then I'm like, wait a second, maybe I should just go to sleep or take an actual nap.
Mount Everest. What were you watching about Mount Everest?
like like how pretty much just how people just go to Mount Everest to say they conquered like reaching the summit when it's literally like death zone. Like the whole
Oh my
mountain
goodness.
is death
Wait a minute.
zone.
Wasn't there a book that we were forced to read in like high school about Mount Everest? I don't know if you had the same reading list as I
Wait,
did, but it sounds familiar.
I believe that my school may have had it as a reading list for the curriculum, but they didn't pick it because it that's kind of ringing a bell, but I know I didn't read it for sure. There is something like that. There is maybe it
Yeah.
has to do with the
And
word summit.
I also remember Hatchet. Did you have to read Hatchet?
Hatchet? No. What
Mm.
is that about? Is that also about Mount Everest?
It's about a youth who's in crisis and he's like surviving something. I can't remember it in detail. I will look it up though. You know, I'm going to look it up after this. Um he's in survival mode because something happened. I don't know if it was an accident. Something happens where he's on
Mhm.
his own and trying to survive in like the woods or something like that. Now I have to look it up. Hold on.
Yes, please. Because I'm like, wait a minute, maybe that is something.
Because I
That
definitely
is.
had to read this in like eighth grade.
Did it go into like the detail of like the implications of trying to climb Mount Everest?
No, I really remember a book that was about that in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So Hatchet is a survival story about a 13-year-old Brian who is stranded in the Canadian wilderness after a plane crash. So that's what it is.
Wait a second. That is ringing a
Yes.
bell.
Yes. And with only a hatchet, and his own wits to keep him alive. So he learns to make
Oh.
fire, find food, build a shelter, and he's adapting to nature,
Mm-hmm.
all while dealing with the emotional and psychological challenges of his family's divorce and the secret that he carries. It's a whole, I remember this book.
Wait, is this fictional or non-fictional?
I am hoping that this is fictional.
Because whoa.
I think it's fictional, but I definitely had to read that in 8th grade. I remember that, and I did see it recently when I went to the bookstore.
Oh my goodness. Because now I'm intrigued. Let me
Yeah,
see my
now I want to
library.
read it again, but I really don't have time to be reading physical books right now, so I've just been listening to audiobooks lately.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, because I really love the smell of books.
No, I have a bad habit of collecting books. No, I don't have time to read them. Like my boyfriend tells me all the time, like, you can get like audiobooks. Like I'm like, but I really
Yeah, but
want to
it
see
also depends on who's reading the audiobook because some of their voices are really grating and I can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on who's reading it.
That's true. I've been across a couple of things where it's just the AI or the
I
machine.
can't do that.
Oh my
No,
goodness. Then
I can't
he
do that.
walked to the store and he tripped and fell.
Oh my goodness. I okay, so I've been looking into unfortunately apartment applications. I really want to be buying a house right now, but that's a whole other conversation. But I have been looking at apartments to apply to, and this whole time I thought I was emailing with the woman, correct? Okay.
Uh-huh.
This woman named May. The whole time I thought this was a person. I call the phone number. It's literally a robot.
Oh my
So I have been
goodness.
emailing back and forth with a literal robot.
So not a real person, but a robot?
Yes.
That's dystopian.
It's disturbing, is what it is.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
What timeline are we falling into?
It was like I immediately hung up. I know I'm not even gonna lie. I interacted for a little bit. I just wanted to see what the answers were going to be.
Oh
And
wow.
then I was just like, bye.
Wow.
And then she was getting like pushy. She's like,
Oh,
are you like applying or no?
oh my goodness, May, chill.
I was like, it's time for me to hang up.
Okay, May.
Sitting here
Bye,
arguing
bye,
with a
Felicia.
robot.
Bye, May. Imagine arguing with a robot.
It would be me, wouldn't it?
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. Did you ask me a question?
No, I didn't. I was just like kind of confused. I was just like, this is crazy. Oh
Well,
my
back
goodness.
on track. If your if your healing journey had a soundtrack, what song would be playing right now?
So if you know what, there is this song, right? And it's called, it's by this black rock indie rock band. And I just feel like the theme of the song, because it's kind of like sinking boat. I think the song is like, why should I worry about rocking a sinking boat? And I don't know, it's not like, basically it's kind of saying like, why should you worry about like all the things that are falling apart? And there's just a whole lot more going to this. I feel like it's that one, I guess, more so of the vibes. But let me pull up the lyrics. Wait, because why
Okay.
should I? I'm sorry, because now I'm like, wait.
I know. I have to do the same thing because then it'll I'll forget all about it.
Yeah, and then
So
I'm
I
like,
have to do
wait.
it in the moment.
Okay, so it's basically like about like with everything going around, like why am I gonna worry about it? There's so much going wrong. But in the same time, right? I'm not saying so much is going wrong with my healing. It's more so about my perspective now. Like with so much that is going wrong, I'm kind of like, why am I gonna worry about it? Like sometimes some stuff at work that kind of does affect my mental health sometimes happens, and I'm like, well, I already know what's going to happen. I'm not even why I gotta worry about it. I'm just
I
you
know.
know, kind of type of thing. Like, and before, you know, like what I struggled with was like I would just make it all about trying to control it type of thing. But now I'm kind of like letting it go a little bit, you know, like, and I feel like that's the part of my healing journey where I'm allowing things to let go and not be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that perfectionism is a problem sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, it's definitely it's definitely ludicrous move. Move. Get out the way. Get out.
Get out the way.
That's what I am feeling right now because I just feel like people have been purposely, when people purposely make things hard for you
Mm-hmm.
and create obstacles for you.
Yes.
So
Yep.
so yeah, so that song, anytime I hear that song or anytime I'm dealing with something difficult, that song plays in my brain.
Honestly, fair. Get out the way, y'all. Get
Yes,
out the
get out
way.
the way, cut it
Mhm.
out.
You know what? Fun fact, I used to think that song was actually inspired by this Haitian group because there's this band and my dad would play all the time. We used to have like a little speaker radio, and literally you just hear like a Haitian, like the compas sound. And move, get out the way. I used to think, oh, okay. And then when I heard Ludacris' song,
Yes.
I was like, okay,
Yes.
Ludacris got this from the Haitians. Whole
Yes.
wrong, because then I looked at BET, saw what time it was, and then I looked at the time that song came out for my dad's CD, and then I was like, oh, you're wrong. That
Oh
the
my gosh, that's
Ludacris
how old I
influence.
am. You had to look up when the song came out. I'm old. Oh my god.
I don't mean to laugh that hard, but hey.
I am old. I'm an old millennial.
Oh my,
Oh my
but hey,
gosh.
that's icon. You guys are icons.
I think so. I mean, who else does it better? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I
Oh
am
my
just
goodness.
kidding. Before I end up on somebody's canceled list.
Oh my goodness. Imagine that.
That's what your generation likes to do. Y'all like to put people on the canceled list and then they have to sit there and build a whole new persona, make up a whole new name to
You know that,
like
and the cancel is not even real because
I
all you have to do
know.
is just be quiet for a year or two and then you back.
I know. But they usually come back with like a brand new name. Like
Yeah.
they don't come back with the same name. People try to,
Yes.
sneak back in.
Mm-hmm. Or a nice YouTube apology. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Before we end the icebreaker, one last thing I wanted to ask is what's one healing habit that started helping but now feels like a chore?
Ooh. So I used to be like, if somebody says something that I don't like, I'm gonna bite my tongue. I'm gonna, turn the other cheek. I'm gonna walk away. I've been talking back lately because I'm sick and tired. I really feel like people will purposely test you when they know that you are in a vulnerable position. And who am I normally with? I'm normally with children. So I'm never going to put myself and my children in a position where we are literally, running from somebody who is dangerous or, you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
people, a lot of mental health issues are coming to the surface, is what I will say lately. And I will never put ourselves in a dangerous situation by responding to nonsense. But when you are sitting here thinking that you're going to get away with it and you're purposely doing it, I'm going to say something back to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You can't hold the peace so many times. Like there's a time and place for trying to, but sometimes you don't have to sit there and try to hold it or tolerate it. Mm-mm.
Yeah, there's a difference between being strong and being a doormat. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
What
Um,
about you?
for me, it's pretty much kind of like the same thing. Like, and I feel like the reason why now for me it feels like a chore is because kind of like I was raised to be the bigger person, to be adult. Maybe it's probably from like my history of being parentified, right? So, so pretty much that's like the most recent thing, even though it's been a while where I'm like, like it feels like a chore because I think, I mean, I had an incident with a roommate where I was just like, yeah, I'm not being the bigger person no more. And my therapist literally did was like, Zepta, it might not be wise because you live with this person. But I told her, well, this person tried to say that they thought we were friends, but a friend doesn't do me like that. And I'm perfectly fine with being viewed as the enemy. And I'm not going to be the bigger person. I'm going to be amicable. I'm going to treat you like a human, but I'm not going to baby you. And I used to be so like try to be peaceful and all that point to the point where I'm kind of like babying the person and being the parent. I was like, I'm not doing that. Nope.
Yeah. So another word for that is enabling, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you are enabling poor behavior and not calling it out. And again, this goes back to checking people who have bullying spirits or, bullying behaviors, things like that.
Right. And my biggest challenge was people who manipulate.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
I can't, it's harder for me to catch the manipulation, right? So then now that I've been more attuned to catching the folks who try to manipulate, I also they get the most criticism for me because it's kind of like you are trying to manipulate me because you could probably low key try to get away with it. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
and that offends me.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it worked when I was trying to. Okay, it's healing for me when it's worth it for the right people, right? Like I have friends who may not have they're still trying to grasp like their inner turmoil, right? And I'm not saying they're ever rude or like they're never that, but I know that whatever how they come across, right? Like maybe like they just don't sound as nice over the phone. I'm not taking it personal, but I'm more able to be like, oh, okay, like they're just having this and that going on. They're not bubbly over the phone, like something like that. That when it's for that, I'm like fine. But it was starting to feel like a chore when more and more people try to think they could just manipulate and think like I'm being just nice, or they think like if they disagree with something that I about whatever, that they just think they can just manipulate and try to paint it as if it's a whole different thing when it's not. Like this time I learned like I ain't gonna let it be a chore by letting everybody just mess me over.
Yep. Same thing with being a doormat, right?
Right.
And allowing poor behavior. And the more you allow that poor behavior, the worse it's going to get and the more it's going
Mm,
to continue.
exactly.
So setting that boundary and speaking up for yourself is a
Hmm.
good start. Yeah.
And then I like to say stand 10 toes by it. All 10
Yes.
toes.
Yes. And always maintain that boundary, because um if you set the boundary and then you go back on the boundary and then you set the boundary again and then you go back on it, they're going to know that you're not serious and you don't
Hmm.
respect yourself.
Yep.
And once you show that, they're going to keep doing whatever it is that they're doing.
Yep. Even if they don't verbalize it or say it, they will start doing it subconsciously.
Exactly. And especially people who want to have some sort of power over you. There's like a power play going on. They're going to purposely look at where your boundaries are weak so that they can use that against you.
Oh my gosh. I just had an incident with that. Oh my goodness. I
Hmm.
just remember that literally last week. It was, oh,
Yep.
can't even
All
get
the
into
time.
it. It's so
All the
fresh.
time. But there is a nice glow up to healing. The process can be very messy. So imagine a therapy session that gets down to the root of your issue, but the cost is bawling out, crying, which is natural. Depending on your situation, this experience could be back to back, and maybe reflecting on that session brings up more feelings inside of you that are uncomfortable.
Yeah. I had so many therapy sessions, Kiara, where it was not cute. Like, and even during it, I was like, am I actually healing? Because I'm like bawling right now. Like I'm crying, like, all that. And they'll just be like,
Yeah.
am I healing?
But crying is healing. It is a form
Right.
of release and expression.
Right. And you know how like they say, like, when you think you've released it all, there's still a whole lot more to release. And I think like that's why sometimes, like even after like you have therapy. And a lot of times I would have therapy and then I would go right back into work because that's how I scheduled it. And then it'll be like, oh my gosh, I think I have to fight tears before I talked to this customer.
Yeah, I do want to talk about this though, because some therapists are just not good.
Mhm.
I've had a string of therapists where one of them literally showed up drunk.
What? Drunk?
She literally showed up to my session drunk, and she was actually a student. So it was like I was under the psychiatrist and she was under him as his student, if that makes sense.
Oh my goodness, that is extremely unprofessional.
And she showed up drunk. And at first I was like, what is going on? And this was during COVID. And
Hmm.
I was like, what is going on? And yeah, she was definitely drunk.
And that is also kind of like the hard part of healing, where not everybody is going to be a good portion or a good contributor to your healing journey. And you have to switch. You have to switch your
Yep.
therapist.
And then after her, I had a therapist. It took me a year to try therapy again. And then I tried therapy again. And this therapist was a Black woman and she rolled her eyes when I was explaining my childhood.
Oh, oh my goodness. What is she in the profession for then? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm just in shock because it's kind of like that's not,
Childish,
yeah, it's childish. And it's like, that's not going to make me open up to you and do the work that we need to do.
just like right now, dealing with childish behavior. I can't. It's always something or someone.
Wow. Wow. I mean, the worst I dealt with and it wasn't that bad. It was just kind of like when I was bawling out crying about like just how about my social experiences, how I felt so alone, how I just been feeling like my therapist didn't even realize she's a addiction therapist. I don't know how I was just trying to pick someone with my insurance. So I remember she was just looking at me with this look like as if like she just could not help me. And I realized, oh yeah, because she's for an addiction. And then that's why she kept on talking about the alcoholism that runs in my dad's side of the family. And it finally clicked. Oh, that's why she kept on talking about para alcoholism, because that's her specialty. And that's why she looked so lost when I was talking about being possibly autistic and then feeling like I was alone and not feeling like I fit in. Like she gave me this look,
Yes.
like this dumbfounded look when I was busting out crying. And that was the
Yeah.
worst I've dealt with. But oh my goodness, Kiera.
Yes, and then I had a white man who gave me a box of tissue and it was just like it was too much.
Wait, like he gave you a box of
Like
tissue and was like,
like
there.
yeah, here, wipe your tears. Like it was
Oh
I
my
after that I was
gosh.
just done with therapy. I think therapy works. I think it works when you find the right therapist that works with
Uh-huh.
you.
Yes, I agree.
And I have not found that yet. So I'm not telling people to not do therapy. I'm just saying I have not found a good
Mhm.
therapist yet.
It's good that you're here though, because you're speaking about like one side of it, and then I can speak on another side of it because I
Yeah,
do.
tell us about your relationship with your because you really like your therapist.
Yes, I really do like my therapist. I feel I she's the third therapist. I don't count the counselors that I had that were temporary, who were just supposed to like keep me calm, I guess for like safety purposes. But uh she's like my third therapist that I've ever had. She's and the reason why she's amazing is because she does specialize with like depression, anxiety, folks with ADHD and autism. And I picked her because she was black, of course, and that she because she was Haitian, because a lot of the things I was struggling with was validating my experience as a Haitian American. So I felt like it was perfect because she was Haitian. She basically was born and raised in Haiti, but also um, moved to America and got all her education, all her certifications, her license in America. So I felt like she got all of those perspectives that was necessary to help me, because the last person that was with me, she was a white lady who focused on addiction. And it took me a long time to realize why she kept on talking about alcoholism. And yes, alcoholism runs in my dad's side of the family. It played a role in my history, but it just wasn't doing enough. Like, she would be helpful, but it just something was missing. And then the other therapist I had, she was a campus therapist at FSU. She was a Black woman, but I struggled with having consistent appointments because everybody at FSU was trying to get therapy. Like, so I would only get like once a month or once every 2 months when I needed to see someone like at least for the beginning to middle stages, like every other week. So when I finally got my current therapist, I haven't speak to her in a minute because of work and insurance, but we did leave on a really good note. That's why I feel like I'm still doing good. But basically, she helped me navigate like um, adjusting, like living with my brother and coming to terms with being possibly autistic, how that it could look like just me being just raised as a Haitian American. She validated how it wasn't normal for how my parents to treat me despite where my parents have come from, that it wasn't okay because my parents did came from a lot of poverty, alcohol abuse, abuse. Like they come from that, right? And they still overcame, but it still doesn't make excuse for how they, raised us. She basically gave me a new perspective on things. She showed me the body mapping, right? She helped me a lot with navigating roommate issues, allowing myself to make a decision, right? She empowered me to make more of my decisions, but in a healthier way. And if it wasn't quite healthy, she helped me reframe that so I can do it better. And I was like, oh my God, like I needed her. I tell her, I'm like, I needed you. But I'm like, I'm grateful for the journey that I had because I guess each time therapy didn't work for me, I kind of knew what to look for the next time. So I
Yeah.
hope that helps somebody out there because this time I knew, oh, make sure not to accidentally book an addiction because I'm addicted to sugar. I like candy, but I don't have alcoholism. You know what I'm saying? And maybe she would have been great if I inherited some of the alcohol addiction from my dad's side of the family, but I didn't. She just gave me an idea to what para alcoholism is. I understand it. I identify with some of it. Like I do say there's an impact, but I was like, it wasn't working. Like I feel like, yeah, I think that was my journey with therapy. And hopefully I don't have to do therapy for the rest of my life. But I told myself, if I gotta do it for years, I told her, we locked in. We locked in. If I gotta do it for years.
Yeah, it's all good. It doesn't matter what age you are. Therapy is therapy. If you feel like you need therapy for your whole life, that's fine.
Right.
But you do need to find that good therapist to have a connection with, to have a relationship with. And I just
Yeah.
have not found that. When I was in high school, I did have a decent therapist, but she ended up moving away from where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother wasn't willing to travel with me to take me to those appointments. So we ended up ending the sessions there.
Oh man. And this was before telehealth, right?
Oh yeah, way before.
Oh
Way
man.
before.
Oh
But
man.
it's fine. I haven't, I really wanted to give a Black woman a try. And it was just the moment that happened, I was like, we're done, because that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the things my mother used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I'm saying something or doing something or sharing my feelings, she used to roll her eyes.
Oh my God.
And I was like, now I can't see you anymore because that's just going to keep running through my head. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
And that's a trigger. She
Yeah.
she triggered you.
Yeah. It's dismissive.
Mm-hmm.
It's dismissive.
Yeah, I think no one should ever feel pressured to get therapy because there's so many ways to heal nowadays. And it's, there's not one way to do it. But like I thank you for sharing that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm laughing. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna hold, be quiet, and then I'll start again. I'm sorry. I just wanted to laugh. I'm sorry. It it was kind of
Technical
funny.
difficulties. Technical difficulties. Just
Okay.
act like it never happened.
All right, and then I'll pick up. All right, I'm gonna pause and then I. Sorry, I'm just being mature. It was kind of funny the way it said no one, no one else is it. It's me. Okay. Whew, okay. So yeah. So thank you.
Center.
Whew, okay. Yeah. So thank you for sharing on that because yeah, there's not one way to heal with therapy, and everybody's journey can be different with like finding who they are and it's kind of like trying to find all those bits and pieces can be exhausting or it can be triggering um and unfortunately not everyone is a good fit or not everyone should be being a therapist, I will say.
Yeah, and this goes back to the conversation that we had last time about choosing your profession wisely or, giving yourself grace, taking frequent breaks if that's what you need,
Mm-hmm.
and just being mindful of your body language, especially when you are face to face. Most therapy is either face to face or telehealth.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be very mindful of our body language because no.
No, and it can turn somebody off and
Yeah, I'm definitely not
yeah.
paying you to dismiss
Mm-hmm.
me.
And roll your
I
eyes.
had to deal with it for free. I'm not going to
Right.
pay you for that treatment. I'm very big on not giving my money to spaces that are disrespectful towards me because
Mm-hmm.
why would I pay you to disrespect me? So if I'm in a space where I don't feel respected, I'm not putting a dollar into it,
Mm-hmm. I
you
agree.
know.
I agree. Well, I hope I could encourage you that if you ever are open to it in the future, that you eventually do find someone because, yeah, like that trial and error can be a little daunting. And I think that's kind of like the hard part of like choosing where you are in your healing journey or where you are because, yeah, like it felt like I was stagnant at some point. And I thought I was like, I'm trying to get therapy, but I'm stagnant. And yeah,
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah, I'm
became off
definitely
too.
going to, find a therapist, but it needs to be a genuine connection. I'm just not just going to anybody. It's just I've tried too many times.
Mhm.
At this point, it just needs to be a natural connection, you
Right,
know?
right. I want to add that healing can be a lot, right? The journey to healing, figuring out how to heal. It's and that's okay, right? Like you won't find the answer every single time, or even the journey to find the answer. It's not going to be smooth. And the example I wanted to provide, like, is I like to imagine as if when you need like a major surgery, right? And the surgeon, like, maybe they have to cut things, maybe they have to sedate you, maybe they have to replace parts or do all these things, right? And that's like, I guess like that can maybe emulate the work. And then the healing process, it has inflammation, there's bleeding, there's discharge, there's bandages, and then there's moments where you just have to rest before you are fully healed after that surgery, right? And I feel like healing is kind of like that, but it's for the soul, right? It's for the soul. It's not going to be pretty the whole time. And like there might be a little bit of scars, but this is what it's needed for you to heal.
Exactly. And we need to remember to separate yourself from the myth of constant self improvement and give yourself permission to pause, give yourself permission to have technical difficulties, and know that you can come back and edit it or you can come back and try again. It's okay.
Mhm. Yes. Because I think like kind of like what threw me off once. I mean, not even once. Like it's something that I'm working on, but that I used to fall for the myth of that self improvement. Like I gotta improve. And even one time I told my therapist, I was like, Miss Johnson, like, um, it's like it feels like I have to be my best because if I'm not, like everybody is just gonna try to tell me that I'm not doing my best, that I'm not whatever. And then she was just kind of like, okay, wait, like who's telling you that you're not? And it's not going to be every single day. You're not always going to have the same day. Like that's okay. And then she was just like, we went into the whys and all that. But all I'm saying is pretty much like it doesn't serve you to try to feel like you have to constantly improve and improve and improve.
Absolutely. And I do see that you want to go over the stages that you may come across in
Oh
therapy.
yes, yes. And I wanted to mention that
Yeah.
if you are in the journey of choosing therapy as part of like your healing journey or to help accelerate your healing journey, like I wanted to go over the stages because just to kind of like probably help get rid of maybe like some biases of what you think therapy could be exactly is, because I know I was thrown off when I first started. Because one, there's like the early stage where you and your therapist will just get to know each other. It's not like all of a sudden they're going to start throwing these like mind blowing, like all these breakthroughs. You're literally just getting to know each other. You're identifying what your struggles are. I know for me, like while we're talking about my struggles, I'm like crying and I'm like crying about how I'm struggling with this. And you're still not, it's that's part of the healing journey where you just got to solve it. Like you're not solving it, you just got to identify what things are. And it's like pretty much you feeling worried or uncertain about things as you're building trust. But then it's that middle stage, right? Then there's that middle stage where you might get those breakthroughs, that major growth, that transformation, right? You gain skills, new insight, and goals. And then you have that late stage where you feel more confident, calm, curious, compassionate towards yourself and the people you love. And you find that there's fewer things to talk about and things are going well. But again, when it's like that early, and then also in addition to the early stage, the middle stage, right? You are going to go through some rough terrain. Like I know there was a couple times where our time has run out for our session, and although I feel like there was a weight off my shoulders, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Oh my goodness, like our session is it ended. We used this hour, but I feel like I needed another hour. And it's not, it's heavy because it's kind of like you're finally trying to figure out which way to go. But as I went through this avenue of like helping me heal with my struggles, I eventually like still found a light at the end of the tunnel. No, there's certain parts of my life where I'm still finding more light. But um I just wanted to probably give that overview to someone who is thinking about therapy or what it looks like, how it looks like for them, if there's ugly parts to it. And yes, like how we mentioned before about finding someone, there's also the ugly parts while you're doing the work within therapy as well.
Yes, because even in therapy, you might have disagreements with your therapist. You may have to come to terms with a diagnosis that you don't agree with or you're just not sure about. You may have to take breaks from your therapist sometimes, and that's all normal. Um, a lot of people struggle with the financial burden to start and continue therapy. I know that's one of the blockages for clients who are interested in grounded stars is like, this is another bill, right? Of course, we are going to credential with Medicaid and with managed care plans. But at the end of the day, many people do not put therapy on their priority list because of the cost.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, imagine like you start, right? You find a way to start, and then you can't even get your next session, and you start to feel bad about yourself, and you start to feel like your finances are inhibiting your healing. And I think that's a horrible feeling to go through because you're trying to be better, but your finances are not letting you be better. And I think that would hurt. That hurts a lot because I've been there before.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm. My only avenue, I think, when it came to even like getting like mental health services or help was really like me just getting lucky and being able to go to school where they included that within like um our abilities as a student, and then me just getting lucky because um I worked at Walmart for the time and I was able to get like a few, like 10 free sessions and then stretch it out. And I'm like, not everybody has that option. Like, I know I have a friend who struggles to get the help that she needs and to make sure it comes from the right person because of, like, the diagnoses that she has to work through. Um, and like, I feel like it was important to include that in the conversation because that is a whole nother dynamic within itself. That whole, like, I can't even start or continue because this is stopping me. And it's like, you know, if therapy is not an option, sometimes we have to look for other options, and that just might mean like using like listening to this podcast or seeing what options Grounded Stars have, and then of course Grounded Stars is working on credentialing with Medicaid. So always just try to see what is your options out there, no matter how many times it feels it's like limiting. And I know it's hard to try to continue and push through when you feel like you're limited, but say like just to never stop and keep going. I also wanted to add that it's important to give yourself credit where it's due for your progress with healing, no matter where you are in your journey. I think it's important to pat yourself on the back for your progress, your hard work. I think that signs that you have progressed is that maybe you're feeling your emotions more, you're acknowledging where you are, labeling your body, doing your body maps, you're growing from your habits or trauma, you experience less tension, and that you use more of your support system. Because I know sometimes some of us may sit in silence and suffer in silence. I mean, so I think like more use of your support system is also a good sign. I feel like if I wanted to give myself as an example of like where I acknowledge myself where I've grown, and I think for example, I've grown a lot from social anxiety. Like I used to be at a point where I really thought it was going to be debilitating, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do anything in my life. Like I'm just going to be home. Like what if like I literally just cannot do anything and I would be without a job? And I still have anxiety. And I also learned that some of my social anxiety was learning more of my social skills. So I learned that with like exposing myself, not limiting myself and doing exposure therapy, right? Putting myself in more social situations. I noticed that, oh, I'm expressing myself more. Like I realize I can be funny sometimes. I don't describe myself as a funny person, but I like at my job right now, like I light people up, and I never really thought of myself as that, but I did. And I'm like, oh wait, it's because I'm not really overthinking everything that I say. And I also learn how to go around some of the mean, not the mean, but sometimes the people that say a little off things, like who might say, oh, how soft these kids are. And I'd be like, I find my way to work around it, still keep my job, but not be rude at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was like, I never could have done that before. And I'm
I
still
would be like, excuse me?
right. Like, because, anytime some of these people, they might complain and I don't want to get in trouble, but I got my little like social, like socializing on. And sometimes my boyfriend, he thinks I'm an extrovert, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm still introverted, like maybe ambivert. But sometimes he be like, you're the extrovert. I'm like, no, I'm not. I genuinely used to have social anxiety. But I give
Yeah.
myself the kudos on my back because I've grown a lot from the person I used to be in, even in high school. And like, you're supposed to grow, you're supposed to change, but I never really thought I'd be kind of like where I am with my social anxiety. But I just wanted to ask, like, open the floor. What about you, Kiera? What is something you give your pat on your back for your progress and hard work?
I give my pat on the back for not being not being in jail. Because I really have moments where I really just want to let them have it. I'm just kidding. But I give myself a pat on the back for allowing myself room to speak up for myself, because that's something I didn't get to do when I was younger. So speaking up for myself, setting boundaries,
Yeah,
and standing on my boundaries and
yeah.
not wavering on them, for sure.
Oh my gosh, yes. And like, and boundaries is just one of those, it's a really hard thing. And you know what, like, I learned about a couple boundaries too, because I learned I did not have to expend my energy to a specific person anymore. And for the first time, not for I never really had to block a lot of people. Like, I've blocked my cousin before, like she's still blocked. But that was like kind of like, okay, like she was outright like me, right? But this person that I blocked, it was trivial, and I would have maybe not done it because I'm like, oh, maybe, well, maybe they would have, maybe they just don't understand. But then I told myself, I was like, so did they understand what they were doing? They were literally disrespecting your time. They disrespected your time. They
Yes.
devalued what efforts you were doing to try to help them out their situation. They took you for granted. And this whole time, this friendship wasn't based on anything friendly. It was based off of how much they can use you. And for the first time, I blocked someone, and I was like, yeah, I'm blocking you. And it felt good because it was a boundary, and I did not want them spamming text me, because they spam texted me. They spam called me just because of trivial small stuff, and made me panic thinking there was an emergency. So I blocked them, and it felt good. And I was like, that's a boundary. And yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. I hear you for real. I get it. You can't heal in a rush. Healing is not linear. Sometimes you will have to take 2 steps back in order to make that forward step, and that's okay. I know I say this almost every episode, but I do need to make that very clear, because so many people beat themselves up when they find themselves back in a position. But
Mhm.
sometimes you have to go back in that position in order to move forward, right? To understand what is the root issue that keeps bringing you back here.
Ooh, yes, that was beautifully said. That was beautifully said, Kiera. Because when you go back and
Yes.
see where it took you, like where you're sitting at,
Hmm.
how did you get back here?
Yeah,
It's like you kind of do discover like what was that new aspect to what is going on. And that could take you much further. Yeah.
for sure, because healing does have its own timeline. And you just want to give yourself grace just as much as you would give other people grace, and just as much as you forgive other people, you need to be able to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And while you are healing, you need to be able to block out the noise, because sometimes that healing, as we stated, that healing does not look pretty. Healing is never going to look pretty, because you're obviously healing from something painful, and you have to be able to block out other people's judgment, other people's like the body language that may be triggering from other people.
Right.
Somebody looking at you and rolling their eyes, somebody staring at you, looking at you like you're crazy or out of your mind. You need to be able to block this out, and it's not going to be easy.
Right.
But you need to be able to tune that out, because that is something else that could be holding you back from truly healing.
Exactly.
And sometimes the most productive thing that you can ever do is breathe,
Right.
for real,
Breathe and pace
and
yourself.
chill out, and
Yes.
sometimes not do anything. Sometimes not responding is a response.
Yes.
Not giving energy is giving yourself energy,
Like, have
right?
you ever done that and then you realize, oh, wait, okay. Like sometimes my new rule is, if something is kind of like making me panicky, and I'm like, it's nearing the end of the day, I tell myself, you know what, tomorrow I'll have the answer to this. Tomorrow I'll allow myself to respond to this. I'm just going to pause right now. And it usually, like, sometimes that just works.
Yeah, or sometimes I just don't respond. If I know that somebody is playing with me or testing my intelligence, I will literally just leave it right there.
Yes. Good.
Yes, so we have reached the end of our episode. So if you are in that season where healing feels like it is too much, we see you, we feel you, we understand. You are not failing. You're just in the part of the story no one posts about. And again, a part of healing is not being on social media and doom scrolling, comparing
Yep.
yourself, right? Comparing yourself to other people who are showcasing their highlight reel. They're not
Yeah.
showcasing, the hard parts.
Yep. Because not nobody's gonna show not a lot of folks are gonna showcase the hard parts, the struggles, the switch arounds, the bad people, the people that don't work for you, the healing techniques that don't work for you. It's no one's gonna post about it. No one's gonna post a struggle. So keep breathing, keep being kind to yourself, pause, take a moment, choose to respond when you want to or choose not to, right? All in all, we talked about the beauty surrounding healing and the ugly surrounding healing and how it is necessary, how it is a necessary part of the process. So, combined with rest and acceptance for yourself, you are empowered to go through this journey that we call healing.
Yes. And if you felt this conversation, follow us wherever you get your podcast, share it with a friend, and join us on this healing journey.
And next time, we're diving into a convo about not needing to be fixed to be loved. Okay.
What is fixed anyway? I don't think anybody will ever be fixed, right?
Right.
So I totally get it. So don't forget to visit us at www.groundedstars.com to book a class, session, or to join the community.
And with that, we say adieu, a goodbye, and
Adieu.
adieu. See you
Makes me sound rich.
guys.
Adieu.
Right. Ta ta.
Ta-ta later.
Good night, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.